Thanks for joining us in this edition of the program. This week, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, prohibited the activities of political alliances ahead of the 2025 presidential elections. And the two alliances cited in his communique are the Political Alliance for Change, championed by Honorable Jean-Michel Nietzsche, and the CRM President, Maurice Kamto, who doubles like the flag bearer for the alliance. And the second is the Alliance for Political Transition in Cameroon, headed by Olivier Ile. And today, in this edition of the program, we shall be looking at the content of that communique, equally looking at the future of coalition in Cameroon ahead of the 2025 elections, which is already at the corner. You are watching 360 Degrees on Canal International. Do not move a muscle. We shall be right back. Yeah, I have some gentlemen in the studio, but before we shall get to meet them, let's go and take some of the news-making events of this week.
As other political coalitions target the presidency in 2025, the reformist movement, better known by its French acronym as Mouvement Réformateur, and its ally are diverting all attention towards the legislative elections, launching this March 13 of the Union for a Parliamentary Majority. The frontliner of the movement insists that only combined forces can outplay the ruling party during elections.
It is impossible for a single movement to win CPDM. It is very impossible. It is an obligation for us to join our means and try to work together in order to get change in our country. Because Cameroonians need change.
The coalition is not limited to political parties.
In our website, we have 20 proposals to change our country. Every political party which agree with this proposal, we can work with this kind of party. But not only political party. We can work with people.
Making public the alliance through a press declaration in Yaoundé, Samuel Bilong reiterated that they will not adhere to any change of the electoral calendar or tolerate any form of electoral fraud. Despite the warnings of the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, on March 12, prohibiting the existence of Political Alliance for Change, an alliance for political transition in Cameroon, the actors remain serene to push their agenda to the earmarked destination.
We remain confident in what we are trying to do today for the benefit of Cameroonians in a whole. We are working for the conditions of life of Cameroonians living in the north, south, east and west to be, profoundly changed. We actually want those different crises to be behind us. That's why we are just saying that we are going to continue promoting our transition operation, our transition project, since this is the only way for Cameroon to have a new destiny.
Political analysts equally question the ban, while coalitions of such nature have always prevailed in Cameroon.
Political alliances are not something bad, and there are no novelty in Cameroon, because we know from time immemorial the party in power has been talking of the presidential majority, the G7, the G20 and all the like that has existed. And in the 90s we had the SDF and the alliances which were going on. I don't know what is happening with this other alliance that it causes problems.
In his communique, Paul Atanganji also condemned the visiting of separatist leaders at the Kondengi Central Prison by the promoters of the Alliance for Change, This also poses a worry to the respect of prisoners' rights in Cameroon.
I think prisoners have rights, right? Yeah, but because we saw some prisoners, they got married in prison. Some celebrated their marriages in prison. And then why is it that at this point in time, when a visit is paid to a prisoner, and more so he's Cameroonian? And then one rhetorical question I'll ask is, between that prisoner who is prohibited from being visited and those who have siphoned billions of money of Cameroonians, who is more dangerous?
The political leaders underline that the outing doesn't project Cameroon as a country fighting to promote democracy.
This is not, giving a positive, face to our country. We actually need to change this kind of behaving and make politics be carried out with a maximum of serenity.
Jean-Michel Ninche, president of Front for Change Cameroon, has equally fired back at the territorial administration boss, insisting that they have a right to operate as legal political parties coming together. With barely 2 days to the start of the Elite 1 and 2 playoffs in Cameroon, football lovers are shocked to note that 62 players have been temporarily declared not eligible for the competition for reason of double identity. Players that have fully played the championship this football season, with some like Wilfried Nathan Douala being part of the indomitable Lions squad for AFCON in Ivory Coast. While checked the legitimacy of the players towards the end of the championship, the Cameroon Football Federation clarifies.
When you have two phases like this happens. The players that take place in the qualifiers of the Nations Cup or the World Cup are not the players that will necessarily play the World Cup. And in our case, the rules of the competition says before the beginning of the playoff, the Secretary General of the Federation will publish the final list of players that will be eligible to take part to the competition, after which no reclamation or reserve or protest will be made on the qualification of the players. That's the reason of that list.
And another polemics of qualifying clubs for the next round through the office after filing of complaints. The FECAFOOT Appeal Committee insists that all was done in conformity with the laws. During our last session, we examined the decision of the homologation organ transmitted to us by the disciplinary committee. We made decisions in conformity with the judicial text of FECAFOOT. The explanations made before the press this March 12 at the Football House in Yaoundé as they unveiled the program of the playoffs to kickstart on Friday, March 15. While clubs seeking the crown in Elite 1 will be battling in Douala, those fighting to escape relegation to Elite 2 will be showing their prowess in Yaoundé. And in Elite 2 to be played in Bafsam and Buda, 8 clubs are seeking to get the 2 tickets into top flight football, while 8 others will be struggling to run away from dropping to the regional leagues. Meantime, the fate of the players accused of frauding their ages will be made public before kickoff.
Thanks so much. You are welcome back. Like I did mention from the beginning, I have some gentlemen in the studio, and we shall go right away to welcome them. I will begin from my right. He is Robert KEDIA. He is one of the communication elements for the ruling party, the CPDM. We are very first time on 360 Degrees. Nice to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Greetings to my co-panelists, which will be sharing our views on current issues happening in our nation. Special greetings to the entire Canal 2 international institution for giving us the opportunity to be here to express our view, and a special respect to the Cameroonian people that are in their home listening to us as we are giving our own view on current issue happening in the nation.
Thank you so much. I move over to my left to take NDIWUM Emmanuel. He's of the civil society. Equally, your first time on this set. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's a pleasure shared. And of course, I must say we have a beautiful studio here. Since Canada moved into UK, I've not been to Canada. So it's a pleasure, and the confidence will be renewed after this program.
Thanks for coming, and by me is Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel, who is the President of the Reform Party. Senior Barrister, nice to have you on set today.
Thank you very much. Happy weekend to all the Reform Party members and sympathizers worldwide. Special thanks to Canal for giving us the opportunity to air our opinions on this platform.
Senior Barrister, I stay with you. You just watch the age scandal plaguing the Cameroon footballers. What is your take? What's your reaction?
Well, it appears to me, from what I see, that those people at FECAFO don't know what they are doing. Because you cannot. It simply shows that, I mean, they don't know what, I mean, they are not fit to run that federation. You cannot have a competition, run for a whole year, and at the end of it, you now come and say 61 people are disqualified for the playoffs. So how come you allow those people who are disqualified to participate in the competition for the whole year? I mean, they are simply telling the world that that competition ought to be cancelled. It ought to be cancelled. If they are maintaining it, if they are maintaining their stand that there are 61 people ineligible, then the whole thing is a sham. Because I don't see how people who are not qualified for playoffs were qualified to compete for their teams to come up to the playoffs.
Emmanuel, what image does this give the world about Cameroon at this point in time, especially that we have a player who took part in the Nations Cup and then is of recent declared that he has double identity?
Well, I'll only comment in that domain because you have asked a question in that direction. You know, sports is one of the least things that a serious Cameroonian should be thinking about now. That's one of the drawbacks that have made the youth in Cameroon have actually hacked the brains of the youth to think that sports is what is bringing peace in Cameroon. So to me, it's of no interest. You see, what I want to think is we are talking about the ages of footballers. Now, who well, in quote. If you go to Yaoundé, right from it today, can you tell me some officials in this country that you can place a square finger on their square edges? So it's a national fraud. You know, we live in a country of fraud, plagued by fraud in all domains. So sports should not be left out. And I keep cautioning youth. You see, God was not a fool to have given you a birthday. Once you start playing, tampering with your birthday, you know you are tampering with your own life and with your nature. I remain with this very, very birthday that was given to me, and I cherish God for that. So for whatsoever reason, God has a plan for everybody. To think that you must become a footballer just because you have cut your age, I think you are frauding over you are frauding over nature, which shall end up playing over you. But in a country where fraud has been normalized, we can only see what we are seeing.
Okay, Robert. Consequently, the playoffs were supposed to start yesterday, but because of the age squabbles, it has to be pushed to next week. This is playing down on FECAFO.
It's not the first time we are seeing this, so they should not use the canopy of the issue of age. You see, there is something I appreciate about Samuel Eto'o. He's a good player, he's a hero. He's an idol when it comes to football that we all appreciate. But when it comes to a manager, very clear he's a poor manager. Where he was a good player who saw what he did, and when he became the captain of the national team, who saw the problem that came up. And when he went for retirement, everything was okay. We even won the AFCON 2017. And immediately when he came back as a president of FECAFO, we saw problems coming up where players are not caught up because they come from a particular region. When a good player that everybody knows in the world start to have problem because he had a picture with a politician inside a jet, and all the rest is questionable. And so there are things that we should be able to say it clearly the way they are. You will not say that the issue of Nathan, that his age was fake, is something that is surprising to the FECAFO. No. Children weep all over the national territory. Everybody was clear that the age of Nathan, something is wrong with it. All media spoke about it. Everybody came out to cry that there is something with that age. And after they will come and give his name that he was not. We are just waiting. You know, he went for AFCON, but he did not participate in any of the match. So we hope that we will not be sanctioned for 2 consecutive AFCON as the laws of football stipulate. So that's the situation. We are just waiting to see. But for me, I think that those things are supposed to be checked before they become members of a club, and even when they are members of the club, before they start to participate in the internal league, is supposed to be checked at all levels.
Thank you so much. Let's just take a transition. We shall have more time to talk about football maybe next week. Let's just take a transition, then we dive into our main topic of today. You're welcome back, Robert. Let me begin this time with you. You read through the communique of Minister Paul Atanganje. What reading do you make of such an outing?
You see, first of all, as a minister of tutelle, he has the right to come out to say what he said. And the 2 fronts in which he came out, he talked about the legitimacy of those associations. And secondly, he talked about their activities. You know, when it comes to the 1990 law, it is a law which talks about declaration. And when we have an association of political parties that had first of all existed for a particular election and later on dissolved, and now that they are coming together, there is a declaration that is supposed to be made, and we didn't see any declaration with regard to all of their meetings, all of their press. The political party did not come out to declare. You see, we have many parties that they love to do demonstrations, strike and the rest, like you see the MRC, but they always go for their declaration. It might be rejected by the institution, which they will complain. They always do their complaint that the institution is, the regime is doing everything with Jews and the rest not to accept their declaration. That's their perspective. But they always do that. So when this association come, they don't have declaration. They even visit a prisoner in prison, which is legal to visit somebody in prison. But to go and have a meeting with somebody in prison, you need a declaration for that meeting. To visit somebody is okay. People do visit Seseko Tabe, they visit other prisoners. Visiting somebody is different. But going to have a meeting with somebody, be it in prison or not, you need a declaration, since it's political meeting and objective of that meeting were published to be clear that it was a political meeting. So a declaration is supposed to be made at the level of the functioning of those alliances.
The senior barrister on set will clarify us on that.
Not clarify us. Yes. I've given my opinion, and I know that's how the minister thought, so he cannot clarify me or the minister.
No, it's not about what is being taught. It's about what the law says, because they master the law. They work with prisoners, they work with everybody, so they will tell us. Let me go to Emmanuel. He made a mention of the fact that these people are operating under illegality. For the fact that the parties are already legal, does that not give them a right to operate, to come together as political parties? And
that's the first question every normal Cameroonian should be asking him or herself. That the parties exist in the first place already means, talking about the parties in the first place means that they already exist. And that they exist means that there is something that guarantees their existence. And that thing that guarantees their existence should be the legalization of that party.
By the Minister of Territorial Administration.
Very Minister of Territorial Administration. And you see, I am talking here, we have a civil society organization legally organized by that very ministry in this very country. It is very clear that we are in a period of a political nuance where there is a lot of panic in the air. And you know, with the docility of what we call opposition in Cameroon today, the regime in Yaoundé has been sleeping for a very long time. And you know, you can sleep for a very long time until something reminds you on your rooftop with a harsh noise.
Oh, you said they have been sleeping. What exactly do you mean by
No, they have been sleeping
for a very long time?
You know, what we used to call in Cameroon oppositions were simply, you know, CPDM friendly allies that have been babysitting CPDM for a very long time, with the exceptions of few, very few. You know how it functions in Cameroon. So I see a situation where they have discovered that something very strong is coming up. Let me tell you, any candidate, any person vying for the candidacy in 2025 in Cameroon, without talking about the way forward of any the Anglophone crisis, should not be a candidate. In true democracy, such a person should be sanctioned heavily by the population. If top on your agenda is not the way forward with the Anglophone crisis, which that is where Mr. Bias feels 100%, because to him it has never been part of his agenda to solve the Anglophone crisis.
But there was a national dialogue organized in Yaoundé.
I am telling that was a monologue. I am telling you who was at that monologue. That
we cannot say it was a monologue because people gathered and they were talking.
It was
one person that was talking.
It was a gathering.
Yes.
Among the CPDM acolytes who came together, ate and dined. Look, let me just prove you. When people say there was a dialogue in Yaoundé, when I read what was written at that time, one of the perpetrators, one of the criminals who is abroad, Tapang Ivotanku,
yes,
who is deeply involved in the killing and cutting of hands back in Cameroon, he was invited, but there was an arrest warrant hanging on his head. Is that why you call dialogue? It already wipes out the principle of inclusiveness in the concept of dialogue. That's one. Two, civil society organizations' opinions were sampled. Okay? There is no civil society organization or a clergy or an opposition party that tabled any that is suggestions,
proposals, yes,
that said Northwest and Southwest ever wanted a special status, of which till date we still say we have never wanted it, because what we want should be an equal status and not a special status. Then, if I were to come back to your question,
yes,
honestly speaking, Mr. Tanganjipo as KEDIA, who happens to be one of the songbirds, of course, he can sing all of that song to support it. It is not backed anywhere that a political party, which is officially known in the country, needs authorization to go for an alliance. Even prisoners, I'm talking this one on the control of senior barrister who is here. Yes. Prisoners have the rights, and one of the rights of the prisoners is that the prisoners have to be visited by their close ones. So I don't see what Nietzsche and the others did that was so bad, because the same CPDM, if I were to tell you how Jevan came about in 2018, yes, per day, and let's be you see, when a country has refused to recognize democracy, let's completely put democracy aside and then go back to the kingdom era. I think that is where Cameroon belongs as of now.
Okay, I'll be coming back to you.
Because all of this, they will come back, please, to tell you that Cameroon is a state of law. And in the state of law, the rule of democracy must be observed. Where is that rule of democracy observed at this particular point in time?
Thank you, Emmanuel. Let me take senior barrister. I'll begin by asking you this. Is the Reform Party part of any of the two alliances that were prohibited by...
Reform Party can never be part of any alliance.
Okay.
You see, we have to face the facts as they are. Dira lex, set lex. The law is tough, but it is a law. We have to apply it. Our CPDM representative here was saying that the minister had the right to ban the meetings of alliances because they didn't ask for authorization. That is not the problem. The minister talked of the legal existence of the alliances. Yes. That is the problem on the table. You see, if you look at the 1990 law on political parties, there is no room for political alliance. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's no room.
Yes, we are getting you, Barrister.
You see, those alliances have no legal foundation. They have no legal basis. The Minister of Territorial has been tolerating past alliances. That doesn't give them a right to exist.
Okay.
You see, they are de facto alliances, not de jure alliances. So if the minister comes out to say, hey, I'm reminding you that there is no legal provision authorizing you to exercise as an alliance, he is very correct.
So, Senior Barrister, why tolerate others and prohibit others?
Who has he tolerated? I said
alliances have existed before today.
In the past,
yes.
Other ministers had tolerated alliances. Or even if the same minister tolerated, today he has gotten up to sit on his right, say the law does not authorize you to exercise legally as an alliance. He is very correct. So they just have to toe the line. Now, they can still function by getting one party to call a meeting and then all of them will attend. But to say they are an alliance is not legal. I think the minister on that point is right. But we go now to the second point where Mr. KEDIA refused to acknowledge legal opinion. You see, Mr. Minister of Territorial said that people went to visit a convict, a terrorist who had been convicted.
Yes.
Now, the first thing that comes to my mind is whether the judgment convicting this so-called terrorist prohibited him from receiving any visit.
Okay.
Because he has been tried. He's tried. It is res judicata. So if you want to rely on the fact that he has been convicted, get the judgment and look inside that judgment. You see, we have in the penal code provisions which can accompany a conviction. Article 30, section 30
yes.
of the penal code. The courts, when they deem it fit, they say, okay, this sentence is going to be applied in alongside section 30 of the penal code. That is to say, this man will not be entitled to run for any political office, any public office, or anything like that. So I don't know. If you look at the judgment of CC Court, I don't see anywhere in that judgment a place where it was prohibited for him to receive visits. To say that it was a political visit or a political meeting, there's no such thing, because this man is a prisoner. Let us face facts. This man is a prisoner. He is under the control, the custody and control of the penitentiary administration. The Minister of the Administration has no right to talk about the management of penitentiary administration, which is under the Ministry of Justice. Please remind him, he has no right. That is not under his ministry, it's under the Ministry of Justice. If you are forgotten, there is a Secretary of State in charge of penitentiary administration in the Ministry of Justice, and he is the one controlling the prisons. So if that Secretary of State has not said anything, let Mr. Minat learn to keep his peace.
Maybe, Senior Barrister, the bone of contention was that the meeting had as an object discussing the top job of the country. So I think it is even specified in the meeting, in the communicator.
If there is any meeting in the prisons,
yes,
it should be referred. You should query the person who is controlling the prisons, and it is not Minister of Territorial Administration. It is Minister of Justice who is in charge of that. The Minister of Justice is not complaining. Secretary of State in charge of Territorial Administration is not complaining. Why should we not complain? That is the point.
Thank you. Yes, you wanted to react to what Barrister was saying.
You see, when we talk about a Minister of Territorial Administration, in other words, Minister of Interior,
yes,
it gives him some capacity to intervene in the activities that might even concern other ministries. Like, for instance, the issue of landslide. He came in as a minister. He's in charge of internal affairs, territorial affairs.
That is the job.
That was the job of the Minister of Town Planning. We have a minister, Kecha Kutes, that have to take on that. And I'm still proceeding. We have, for instance, his last visit that he visited a secondary school that the wind came and carried it. We have We have a minister of secondary education, but that was an issue.
Let me tell you,
caused a problem. So
is that within the confines?
As the Minister of Territorial Administration, he had the right to come.
Let me tell you, he himself on that day made it very clear that he was accompanying the Minister of Secondary Education, and that was because the office of the Division Officer for Yaoundé 3 was equally touched. So he left there and then decided to accompany
as Minister of Territorial.
As Minister of Territorial
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So was he going there as Mr.
He was not there on his capacity as the Minat.
He was going there as the capacity of
A courtesy.
No, courtesy visit. He was
who?
not as Minat.
That was a courtesy.
What's his capacity?
Okay.
He has a capacity. He's a minister.
Let's
he
go
went
back.
there as a minister.
Let's go back
now,
to what we were saying.
This is what I was saying. Despite all that, as minister, he's in charge of interior, and anything concerning the interior, he has that capacity to intervene if need be. That's the meaning of Minister of Interior, Territorial Administration. All those ministry is territorial administration, and he has that capacity to interfere. That one is clear.
What Barrister was making you to understand is that the prison is an institution.
Good, very clear.
Governed by
under the
laws.
Minister of Justice
yes.
and Minister of I know that.
Yes.
But as a Minister of Territorial Administration,
yes.
anything within the territory, he has a right to talk, if need be. That's what I say, Minister of Territorial. Or are you telling me the prison is out of the territory of Cameroon? No. All right. Now, to go further,
why is he not talking about health?
Visiting someone in prison
yes.
is legal. No matter the crime you have committed,
yes.
no matter how barbaric your
like
crime
you
is,
acknowledge that.
you have the legal right to visit somebody in prison. Having a political meeting with a prisoner, that's when it becomes a problem. Everybody, you see, we are in a country where politicians are there to manipulate the minds of the people, and they stick on the word that it is visit. Then they dodge away from the political meeting that took place in prison, and resolutions came out. That is the point of the Minister of Territorial Administration, to visit some. But people have been visiting Mr. Ayub Tabe from all over the national territory. Some even came from abroad and they visited him. It's legal. But going to have a political meeting with him is definitely wrong. That's where the point is.
Okay.
When you are a prisoner, no matter what barrister will say, does a prisoner vote?
Senior barrister.
Senior barrister, of course, senior barrister. Does a prisoner vote? When the prisoner is sanctioned, do they go and write that with the sanction of this, with the sentence of this person, he does not have the right to vote? No. When you are a prisoner, there are certain political rights that you lost. And with regard to that of meetings, you don't have them. So they were not supposed to go and have meetings in prison. I accept with senior barrister, please, yes. Permit me to learn. You know, when I talk and you raise your hand like
yes,
this.
Try to cut.
Senior barrister is clear to say that if there was a political meeting in prison, the person that is supposed to be held responsible are those in charge of the prison. I accept with him 100% right. But he should accept the fact that it was a political meeting which is not permitted, because there was no even a declaration. They came out, they gave us resolution with the meeting they had with him. It's clear that it was a political meeting and there was no declaration, which senior barrister knows about the law that talks about declaration of political meetings. That there was no declaration, he knows very well. So he should talk about the political meeting that had no declaration and not hang on the issue of visit.
Okay,
let me go. Not a visit,
yes,
it was a political
let me go
meeting.
to Emmanuel. Getting into the prison to meet secessionist leaders, what could be the resume behind it? What could be the motive behind Ninche undertaking such a move in the first place?
I am not sure that Ninche flight on a private jet to land at the Konegi to
yes.
visit people. He didn't flew to get there. You know, they are competent, like you said, the prison is an institution. And that institution is supposed to be managed by very competent
authorities.
We should start questioning by the authorities who actually ushered Ninche to the Konegi. Because, you see, sometimes I've said many times, and I'll repeat, I'm afraid of the security disposition of this country, the national security of this country. You saw from the case of Amugu Belinga and those who have been involved, every right-thinking Cameroonian has to be afraid of the security shape of this nation. Why am I saying so? Getting to Konegi is not a place where you just get up in the morning, you go walk past, and then you...
There is a procedure to follow.
There is a procedure to follow.
Yes.
Those who are in charge there are the people who are supposed to get the first sanction. How did Ninche get in? What did he present
as the content
as
of his
his
visit?
Content of the visit before getting inside? That's where my problem is. Because he didn't feel, like I said, to get into communication. Which means that there is something behind this affair that you and I might not be able to see with our naked eyes. We need another reading of it to understand. Because to have gotten in there, discussed at length, came out, were able to make public declarations, means there is something more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah.
And this man, why you just put your hand up now?
Yeah, just go on, just go on. Because Senior Barrister is itching to react to.
No, he's not itching.
Go on.
Senior Barrister is a gentle Senior Barrister.
Yes.
So I'm saying that if we don't question first those people who ushered nature in, then we have left substance and we're chasing the shadow. In order to get the substance, when these people must have been called to book, because letting him in means that it was not a crime. It means that he was within his rights. Because those people who are there, they know the law of this country more than you and I. If they had allowed him to go in, it means that he was within his rights. Now, coming back to the point of the Minat, I think I differ with KEDIA a bit, that because he's the Minister of Territorial Administration, he should have jurisdiction over everything. He should have the competence or right up to. There are certain things that he has to restrain. Because you have also understood, like many Cameroonians, if not up to 100% or 99%, that each time Minat comes out, he comes out with an outburst, or either to leave a word that should go into a new dictionary that we are still finding till date, or he comes out to say something that should shake the Republic a bit. At one point in time, I look at him as a comedian. He comes out, he's not always very serious in his outings. Because it's somebody I've met, Senior Barrister. Don't make as if he's not a superhuman being.
You cannot describe the Minister of Territorial Administration.
You are not a moderator.
Maybe the tune of what he says.
His act at times looks like the acts of a comedian. I did not question him being the Minat boss.
Okay.
That difference should be made clear. So I want to think that there are certain issues he should restrain from making outings on them. And before you take the microphone, it is very regrettable that Senior Barrister is in the ranks of the opposition. And from what I've observed so far, he just exhibited a bit of it on this platform. That is attacking other opposition. A while ago, he said, yes, a while ago he made it crystal clear that to him, he can never go into alliance with any
political choice.
I think that's the stand of his party.
No,
which is not obligatory for somebody to get into an alliance. It's a stand of his party.
I am sure I will be coming back to that.
Yes, we'll be coming back to that. Let me get back to Senior Barrister. In the communique equally, Atanganji equally made it clear that some people are using their parliamentary immunity to feel that they are above the law.
That's true.
Does that mean the immunity of some parliamentarians are on the line?
That is very, very true. You see, I listened to the parliamentarian of PCRN. I saw a video of her on WhatsApp. Ngombok or something.
Ngoisi.
You see, that what she said is actionable. Okay. And it's actionable. That was outright. I mean, you can bring out a series of offenses from what she said. And parliamentarians should not think that they are above the law. They are not. Their immunity can be lifted. And they can be prosecuted. So, in fact, the minister, again, is right in that regard. When they are talking, they should know that they are talking on behalf of the whole nation, but their immunity can be lifted if they digress, if they violate the law. A parliamentarian doesn't have the right to violate the law. You speak as the people's representative, but please stay within the confines of the law. Now, I want to distance myself a bit from what my co-panelists said here, describing the Territorial Minister as sometimes talking like a comedian. And you see, it is not very good because this is a public figure,
of course,
and we have to respect him as a minister. He's not a comedian. He does not own any talk show or anything. He's not a comedian. Well, we may not agree with what he says.
Maybe his words are always very heavy, maybe to the detriment of some Cameroonians who do not want to listen.
You see, this is something. This man has his own way of talking. Talking is a means of communicating. And what many of us forget is that what he says might look funny to us, but the message he is conveying goes through. You see, he succeeds in conveying the message. So he actually is a good communicator. He might be, you see, when he talks of voices, you understand him well. What you understand what he's saying. You see, so I won't consider him to be a comedian. He has his own style, which may not be very conventional, but the message goes home, and that's the important thing. Now, talking again about the possibility of the minister of territorial administration putting his nose everywhere. No, look, you have to respect your portfolio. The minister of territorial administration cannot enter inside the Ministry of Justice. Because you go inside the prison, you are inside the Ministry of Justice. It's like Paul Biya will go to Nigeria, enter inside Nigeria and start behaving as president of Nigeria. No, that's not possible.
Okay. So, Senior Barrister, maybe sorry to cut you, but we shall be coming back to you. Just joining us is
the CAMEROUN.
Yes, Far ELVIS TAYONG, who is one of the communication elements for the Cameroon Renaissance movement. It's a pleasure to have you here to understand the Douala traffic.
Yes, not just one of the key. It should be more precise. Under secretary, which means second at the level of the communication unit for the party worldwide. Right, thanks very much. It's my pleasure being here today. You see, the kangaroo system has its way to operate, and that is why we keep asking ourselves where are we heading to. But then, greetings to the people of Bunoko village, as usual, and those of the CRM and our President, Professor Maurice Kamto. The dial is cast. We must turn the cards whether territorial administration likes it or not.
Far ELVIS, I stay with you. You are just coming, let me give you some time to talk. Yes, we had already gone past some levels, but let me come back to you. Because this directly concerns you, the CRM.
Yeah.
Yes. That warning, is it being taken serious by the CRM, or you guys are trying to say, oh, the Minat boss was not on track?
Well, you know, when you are a government official, the role you play will depend on what your masters gave you, the assignments they gave you to do. But I think that he is completely out of context. Out of context, me not here very well, out of context. When we talk about coalition, you cannot tell me that legalized political parties that come together need to take another authorization. We had G7. We had a handful of other ones where we had even the Barrister Momo and the rest who were equally part of that coalition. Did they obtain authorization? That's why I said that sometimes when a system is confused, they start looking for, they start trying to give a dog a bad name to hang it. But you know, the reality is that if they come together, it is just to illustrate an aspect of fear at the level of Minat. You got the point. We have said we are changing the game, whether they like it or not. You could give 2,000 communiques, you know, we don't want it, we don't want that. And that's the more reason why we say that if you have that kind of move, if amongst the people that came together, there was no legal entity, as a legal entity means that those who came together were not coming under the banner of a legalized structure, it becomes questionable. But once it is, we have a handful of those things existing in Cameroon, of groups, especially those opposition linked to the CPDM, which KEDIA belongs here. He knows the mafia that they play. Those ones they don't need to obtain authorization. So why is it peculiar? But I think that when you are a tree and they keep throwing stones, it's because you have fruit that are worth it. If not, they will not. So it simply means that the coalitions have an impact, and that's why Minat is trembling. But as we said, we are unshakable. The right things must be done. If a system is expired, it will go automatically.
Okay, I'll be coming back to you. Let me get to Robert. Despite the warnings of Minat, that was on Monday, no, on Tuesday. Wednesday, there was the launching of another alliance, but this time around, Union for Parliamentary Majority. Is that a provocation, or they really mean what they're doing?
It was launched.
Yes.
And they had their conferences, They had they had done their declaration. Now the problem is that some people are even confused between what is an alliance and what is a coalition. They are two different things. Some people some people are even still confused between signing an authorization and getting a declaration. They are two different things. So when people mix up political terminology that have a meaning, a judicial meaning, they mix everything up. Those people had their declaration, meaning that they were recognized. They went to a GO, we are launching this, it was signed. The other people that went to prison, the other people that are moving up and down, have you had any declaration? They are pressed, they are meeting, they are doing. Have they gone to any GO to declare that we are like this, we are these people, we are having a conference or a meeting? We don't have any declaration that they have done, meaning that they are not legal, meaning that their functioning is fake. And that's why, God bless Atanganji, as I say, that's why Minister Atanganji has already connected the Molinex, is on current, the red button is left to brand them if they continue. And they will be brand if they continue. They should learn to do declaration so that the state know that these people have come together. They will be having a meeting here. We don't know when you have your meeting. We just get decisions that you've taken, you've published. You went to prison, you had a political meeting with somebody that is a prisoner, which we know the political limit of, they don't vote. There are things that prisoners don't do. Okay. So when we see all this being done, it is time for the territorial administration boss to come out and say these people, what they are doing is fake. They are not following the legal procedure. And if they like, they insist. But as I earlier said, the Molinex has been connected. The red button will be pressed and they will be grind if they continue in this their illegality.
Thank you. Before I come to you, Emmanuel, let me get to senior barrister for a clarification, because the communique says any attempts to organize any other activities will be considered as casus belli. That should be yes, that should be a legal term. Maybe you explain to people like Far ELVIS, who is not giving up.
Yes. Well, casus belli, that's cas bellictuel. It's a cause for a case to be determined, to seek determination. Well, that simply means they are going to be actioned inside the Molinex as he's talking about. He's going to take action against them.
Okay.
Let me just say, chip in something concerning what he was saying. A prisoner has rights. Yes. A politician is a person whose aim is to try to seek ways to govern the society, and the prison is one of the concerns of a political party. It's the management of a prison, management of the rights of prisoners is also a political agenda. So I don't see anything wrong with a politician going to meet prisoners to see how they are living, maybe to get their opinion on certain social issues. No,
I'm not talking about visiting them.
So you were talking about
visiting.
No, excuse me.
He's talking about a political meeting.
You said it was a political meeting.
Yes.
And that's why I'm saying a politician can go to prison
to visit people, yes.
To ask prisoners political questions.
Asking them questions is different from political meeting. Where at the end of the it was a political meeting. That is where the problem is. So after the meeting, we had declaration. They brought declaration. They brought declaration that was from the meeting. Did the parliamentarian did he not bring up that he had a brought declaration that was the conclusion they had in the prison?
He gave an update of what they discussed.
It's an update,
not a declaration.
And the state had done a similar thing. Are you telling me? He knows what I'm talking about.
Which state?
I
don't know any meeting that the state. I don't know any meeting he's talking about.
Yes.
No. I don't know of any meeting. Okay. You're saying yes. So are you saying that the state of Cameroon are not meeting?
I have not said. I am not saying. No. I
don't know about that.
What I want you to understand is.
I'm not saying it's wrong, but the state have not done that. I don't know about it. You don't know. No, you're saying what? Can you testify to that? No, because you are simply saying that the state is having bank meeting with a terrorist.
Please.
To know where they have everything.
People, please, people are watching us.
Why did the state visit prisons?
People are watching us, and when all of us speak at the same time, they won't get us. what I wanted you to reiterate is that he went to the prison, they had a meeting, he came out with update. To say a declaration is something else. Let me
Declaring their meeting is not update. What's the difference between declare what they discussed together?
No, there are two different things. Let me get to Emmanuel. He's so bent on the Molinex, which means I don't know.
Those are part of the words when I said a while ago that sometimes our minister acts as a comedian. Senior barrister capitalized on it to make it look as if I was not having respect for Mr. Paul Atanganji, who is the territorial administration boss, is somebody I respect so much. But I'm not obliged to respect his words. Yep. I'm not obliged to respect his manner of approach. Let me make that very clear to senior barrister. You will not oblige me to respect what comes out. A statesman should utter statements. You get me right? Statements come from state men. A statesman should not ridiculize the state with words that have no foundings. And this is what has killed Cameroon: hypocrisy. I don't know what senior barrister is playing for. When you have used two words as if you have an alliance, maybe to show a lot of respect to Minat. I respect Minat 100%. But to come on a platform and make it look as if I did not have respect for him is a force. The nation knows me, and they know I say it the way it is. Now, that was the next thing you are saying.
Briefly, please.
I thought it was time for Cameroon. This issue was like a litmus test for the strength of togetherness of the so-called oppositions in Cameroon that have failed Cameroonians very badly. So-called opposition that have failed. This was the time for the opposition parties to come out. Sing one voice. I know after they will say I'm a pro-MRC. There's no problem about that. But what I'm saying is that I remember the objective. If Yaoundé panics now, it is because they are seeing danger looming on the air. Those suitcase parties that have not been a threat to Yaoundé, you can never hear Yaoundé talk about them. I'm telling you, that's a fact. And I mean, for 42 years, that Cameroonians have been faced with terror, deceit, embezzlement, corruption, underdevelopment, tribalism, nepotism. This was a time for opposition parties to come together. When you are in a battlefield, what do? You bury your differences with your brother. You fight the enemy first. When the war must have been over, when the battle must have been over, you can sit with your brother and clear out your differences. If the opposition, any opposition party in Cameroon today that says they are not ready for any alliance should be dissolved by this very minute.
Thank you, ELVIS. When you look at all this happening, what will you say is the future of opposition coalition in Cameroon?
The future of the opposition coalition in Cameroon is bright. I must be honest with you. I want to let people understand that this issue of saying they are dividing, every area has its peculiarity. And whether they have the right to get their factions, it's normal. You must not belong to the one that MRC belongs there. That's what people don't understand. Because at the end of it, the person that has the majority carries the day. I don't know why when the positions, they have their different coalition, they can never come together because we have, if you look at the anthropological, sociological background of Cameroon, by virtue of that story, it tells you it can never happen. Look at the way it is governed. If you have a country governed on tribalism, how do you expect that kind of coalition to come? If you have a country governed on nepotism, so the people are simply producing what the state's mechanism from independence had prepared to dish out. So at the end of it, the coalition issue should not bother anybody. We are in the boat. The issue is that you can form 2,000 coalitions. It's not the issue. The issue is that at the end of the day, who carries the day, carries the day. It's a fact I'm talking about. And so, I think we are very clear with that. So, for CRM, for example, and the other members who are part of the coalition, we have said we are a moving train. Now, whether people justify today, tomorrow, after, one thing is for sure. I tell you here, viewers, the panic of Minat and any government official or any other political party that does not bind with the coalition is the fact that there is one party that reckons with, that is opposition, that is likely to change the tide. There's that fear. Nobody should be scared. MRC is grinding slowly but surely.
You call it panic, but he said he's just doing his job.
It's panic.
As Minat. So, Senior Barrister, we are moving out of the program right now. Do you see you, the opposition, committing same errors you've been committing years.
Thank you.
Years.
Thank you, sir.
In the previous years.
Thank you, sir. I was being indicted here for saying that my party will never be part of any coalition, and that is because I was talking out of experience. I don't know of a single coalition that's ever worked in this country. Not even a single one since 1990. Not even one.
Can start from you.
Every time there is a coalition, at the nick of time, something
happened.
Boom, they explode the thing. Because
it's also for leadership.
80% of the political parties belong to CPDM. You can sue me if you want. 80% of the parties existing belong to CPDM. They send those satellite parties to go infiltrate the opposition. I'm sorry for my good friend here. He will take many of them, and when the time comes, they will explode the thing. So it is only a fool who will keep. Please,
yes, please.
Only a fool will keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect having a different result. I will never be part of that. I said, Reform Party is going solo. We shall go down to the grassroots. You think maybe I'm foolish? Wait for us. Time will tell.
In less than 15 seconds, please, your last word.
Less than 15 seconds, sir.
Our time is up.
Okay, I've heard all my co-panelists, they have said, but the issue is that we should know what is an alliance. Alliance has to do with political parties that have the same view, that they come together. Now, when you see a party of the right wing and a party of the left wing coming together, will you call that an alliance? It questions already the definition of what is an alliance. A coalition is people that have maybe the same agenda. A coalition government that I don't care if you're of the left wing or the right wing, you come, you form a government, then you rule together. So this terminology are mixed up and many people don't even understand what they are saying. And to conclude, the problem I have with this Cameroon is that all opposition parties are always there to call other satellite parties. So now I don't even know for a satellite because all opposition parties call themselves satellite parties.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Unfortunately, the technicians are already signaling that time is up. Please,
yes, and for that
you will not have your last word.
For that reason, you need to appeal to the management. This program of this magnitude needs more time. It's too short. So what I want to say to the opposition is that they need to drop monetized politics as of now and do politics for the people.
Thank you so much. It is here that we end the program for today. Take the rendezvous for next Saturday when it is 12:30 p.m. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Bye-bye.
I do not even come the head of state.